Good morning, Trojan Nation. I love the gift that the last class gave to the high school, and when you go to a football game, you'll definitely see it. It says, "Welcome to Trojan Nation," and it's on our old field house. It speaks volumes to my heart. If you haven't seen the Welcome to Trojan Nation sign in the stadium, please come this weekend during the Peach Bowl. How do you like that, Mr. Corsi? Already a plug for a huge event this weekend. So it's an honor and a privilege to be here today. What a fantastic way to start off the year with the NJROTC, our cheerleaders, and our marching band. This is the reason we are here, our kids. They are the most important resource. Let's give them a great big round of applause. So why are we back meeting as an entire district? Well, there's lots of reasons. But credit goes to an ice cream social I attended about a month ago with a bunch of retired CSD folks and some current CSD employees as well. We were talking about climate and culture, and the host of the ice cream social, Roger Coleman, who retired from this building, said he missed when he stopped getting together as an entire school district. He further explained that he thought it was important to see everybody in the same room, not just the Cassius faculty. To see that everybody, every division is important, and that there are a massive amount of people working together to support our children in this community. That is why we had a last-minute change. That is why we had to reschedule the open houses for elementary, because we need to be together to start and to recover from the last few years of the pandemic and some lack of unity within the CASD. Today, we kind of have a theme, and that's one band, one sound. You probably noticed all the administrators are wearing basically the same outfit, their Trojan shirts and their khaki pants. Actually, when I spoke to Dr. Schur a couple days ago and he asked, well, what are you wearing? I said, well, Mark and I are going to wear suits, and he's like, well, isn't all Act 93 going to be wearing their shirts and their khakis? And I said, yes. And he goes, one band, one sound. So thank you, Dr. Schur. But the board leadership and the district cabinet feel we need to take a few minutes to talk about climate and culture within the CASD. Our kids are going to help in a few minutes with a demonstration. The last 6 to 8 years our climate has suffered. Climate's short definition is how people feel and how people feel valued. Culture is how do we do things. It's about processes. It's about consistency. It's about working smarter, not harder. When board administration and administration are not getting along, the entire district suffers. Our kids suffer. Every employee suffers. My question is this: have we as a district been successful at being one band, one sound? Have we had too many goals and initiatives? Have we heard many different ways to do things? Are we consistent building to building, division to division? Every good teacher models. The mighty Trojan marching band and the cheerleaders, they're going to model the last 8 years how many have felt. Have we've been playing the same song, but really, have we been playing the same song? So Mrs. Albright, our director of bands, the stage is yours. I said we're modeling, so that was modeling something bad, and I hope you realize that. So what did we hear? We have 3 drum majors on the stage. They're all conducting differently, and they're all going in different directions. This is kind of how we've been the last 6 to 8 years. We've been trying to play the same song, but we've not been consistent. We've not had clear directions at times. And it feels that sometimes we have 100 different initiatives, and it's like a piece of spaghetti. We throw it against the wall to see what sticks. So Mark Long and I, We met with the board on last year's goals and had a very long discussion about Chambersburg and moving forward. Most of the discussion focused on climate and culture. These discussions were excellent on both sides. We are making progress. We are a team. I need to thank Mark Long, Tammy Stauffer, and Tina Clever, and the entire school board for being a team. Although we are shorthanded right now, we are truly supporting each other, striving to be consistent as possible, and all in on fixing the climate and culture of the CASD. We had an excellent admin retreat this year, where the entire Act 93 team has started to heal, get on the same page. We discussed goals, planned for consistent implementation of the goals with consistent expectations and accountability. And I encourage you, when you're back in your buildings, to speak to your supervisors of how positive the admin retreat was this year. It was definitely needed. In the end, our discussions have been geared towards one band, one sound. Let's move the district forward together. Here is the mighty Trojan band modeling what we were striving for, and I hope it sounds a lot better than the last rendition of Fight On. So, take it away. And we hope to hear that song a lot Saturday night as we're getting first downs and touchdowns. Hey, before we dismiss the students, how many would like to hear one more number by the band and the cheerleaders? This one has some audience participation by Queen, We Will Rock You. So go ahead and stomp your feet and clap your hands. They need a minute to set this one up. While they're doing that, the other night I came to attend their opening show. Really excited. I mean, I'm a big fan of Queen, and unfortunately the weather did not cooperate. We were able to hear only one number, so I didn't even get to hear We Will Rock You yet, but looking forward to seeing the whole show. All right, band, cheerleaders and NJROTC, looking forward to seeing you on Thursday. Thank you for helping us kick off this day right. You are dismissed. All right, that was awesome. Part of our discussion with the school board, we talked about pride. In Trojan pride, it starts at the top with board and district leadership by modeling that pride. One of the things we're going to be doing this year, we're going to be doing a climate survey, and that's for all stakeholders. That's going to be for our students, our staff, our parents, and our community. But on top of that, we're also going to do a voice of the employee. And we feel that that's very important, that we get feedback on how we're doing and what we need to do. And one thing that we need to do is we need to sell our brand. This is Trojan Nation in this room. We are the foundation of the CASD. We need to be selling our brand. We need to be proud of our kids, our colleagues, when we are at work and when we are not at work. We all are ambassadors of the district. One of our newest admin wrote an eloquent letter summarizing some of the items we need to get better at. They've been in our district for a long time. We are all Trojans. We should not be pitting program against another program. We should not pit a school against another school's needs. We should not be throwing each other under the bus. We should be building each other up. We should be lifting our system up. In the end, we want our children, their parents, our staff, and our community to run towards our district and not away. This is why we brought everyone together today. Each one of you are a very important piece of the wheel that makes CSD run. Every spoke of this wheel is important. You may have noticed that we brought some guests here today, seated in the front row. Some are current employees, and some are retired employees. Some actually were going to be here this morning, but they're actually driving the bus right now for Corpus Christi. I want you to see, I saw them in action as an employee myself, where they touched my life as a student or a colleague. I wanted to provide an example this morning of recognition, as well as examples of dedication and commitment of what makes CSD great. Every spoke of the wheel, every division is important. The following current employees and some retired employees were chosen because of their long tenure, their commitment to the CSD, and being ambassadors for Trojan Nation. But before we get to the introductions and thank yous, I want to recognize all the spokes of the wheel and what makes CSD by a quote. You know, during the pandemic, that was pretty rough. And I have this quote, and I gave it to my assistant principals when I worked at CAMS, this book, and I gave it to the assistant principals at CAMS North. And some days you just need something to lift you up. And that was a really tough time, what we went through the last couple of years. And it's called Daily Inspirations for Educators. This is volume 2 by Jimmy Casas. I'm actually going to read tomorrow's quote. And it's a yearly calendar here with a quote for each day of the year. So this is August 23rd. Every contribution, regardless of how big or small, is an opportunity to value what people bring to an organization. When we dismiss or fail to acknowledge students, staff, or volunteers' efforts, we miss an opportunity to strengthen our culture.
And so I'll try to be quick. Where I work, we focus a lot on culture. Every Wednesday, the department that I was in, every Wednesday, and I'm going to share a little bit of this with you. Every Wednesday, we have actually every Monday through Friday, there's a quick stand-up meeting, 15 minutes or whatever. But Wednesday was a day that everybody made sure they made the meeting, because that was Dad Joke Day. People actually look forward to the Wednesday meeting more than the content, just so they get the dad joke. And, I'm one. I'm like, we got to get the Wednesday meeting. Dad jokes, they can be stupid often, but sometimes that was the best part about it, because you'd say it and you'd see on the videos everybody they groan about it. So here goes. My teacher always said not to worry about correct spelling because we have autocorrect. And for that, I am infernally grapefruit. There's a few chuckles. I thought I'd get groans on that one. So if you weren't aware, I just want to talk about the word coach briefly. It's actually a metaphor. We know the coach that comes behind the horses with the Queen of England and all of that. But coach had turned into or morphed into a word that first applied to in education, not athletics as we know it today. In the 18th century in England, the term was applied to students that, students who were preparing for exams. They would get a tutor. And that term or the phrase, the tutors, became the coach, because they would help the student quickly and comfortably carry them across the goal of passing their exams. I always thought that was interesting. It takes all of us, to get each kid career and college ready, starting from kindergarten graduation until the time they step off the stage at graduation. Transportation, food services, support staff, administration, counselors and nurses, teachers, buildings and grounds, police, technology. Everybody has a part. Everyone's a coach. Please know that as you dive back into it, I'm speaking on behalf of the school board, we support you and we thank you for the important work that you take on. A few board notes. Mr. Widmann shared about the climate survey that's going to be conducted in Voice of the Employee. We're eagerly looking forward to seeing that. Last year, the school board started something that's called Perspectives, listening series. We're going to do that again. The first one was with students. We're going to have more of them this year. And these are just representative of different groups. And oftentimes we would hear, well, if I could tell the school board whatever, this is that chance. There's no agendas, it's just show up and tell us what you think. So we're going to start scheduling those, usually probably before board meetings, an hour long, and just open discussion session. And then finally, Mr. Norcross is leading the search for next superintendent, which activities will pick up over the next few months. And we will be soliciting your input via surveys and representative focus groups.
I get to speak to the heart today. We hear a lot about different things, but what we have to do in Chambersburg, and Kurt started talking about this at the beginning, was community and culture within climate. Within this room, there's approximately 1,100 people. And with that, we have to be a community. That's why, one band, one sound is great. I love the drumline movement. I thought that was really cool the way they came together, and that's what we need to do as well. So today just marks something that we were talking about earlier as well, and retaining staff, keeping people happy within the schools, safety as well. All these things have to build around relationships. How many of you know more than 10 people in this room? Put your hands up. Really good. I'm going to raise them now. How many of you know more than 50? High school people, you probably are going to jinx me here. How many of you know 100? You can see the numbers going down. How many of you know everybody's name that has their hand up over 100? Oh my goodness, I need your brain. There's my wife sitting in the back and sometimes I forget her name. But I was always told that if you tell a story, people will remember what you talk about with a story. So I'm going to tell you a story, and it is actually true. Please forgive me if I mention this young man's name. I did speak with him yesterday. I saw him and asked if I could use this story to make a point about building relationships. And he said, I don't care if you say my name. He said, because I'm a proud member of Chambersburg now. And he said, I went through some horrible things, but because of relationships, I'm here today. This young man was going into his senior year. He had been enrolled in our district off and on. His family went back to Mexico every so often, but he was here a total of 8 years at Chambersburg. He was in a school getting prepared to graduate. He was going to a local business to earn some credits for workforce development. And all of a sudden, he woke up one morning and the house was empty except for his little sister. He walked around that house and he told me that he yelled, Mom, Dad, Mom, Dad. Nothing. Not a sound. He went downstairs. There was only a little bit of food left in the kitchen. There was no money. There wasn't anything there except he and his sister. At that point, the weight of the world came upon that young man's shoulders. I cannot imagine, and I want you to put yourself in that position. You are 18 years old. You have a little sister that's with you. You have 2 other sisters and a mom and dad who left and went to Mexico. They have no one here. Absolutely no one. Except for who? You. The school. He came to school. He was very quiet. I'm sure the sister came to school and she probably didn't act the appropriate way as well. Probably not bad behavior or anything like that, because that's not the way they are. But I can tell you they would have been different, because we noticed how different that young man was. That young man ventured in to an administrator's office, and that administrator said, "What's up? Something's different." And at that point, that young man's heart broke. Forgive me, because that administrator's me. Every time I see that young man, I want to weep, because of building a relationship with him. And I'm not patting myself on the back. Please don't think that. But teachers and a businessman in this community build a relationship with that young man. That young man still works at that business. That young man is married now. That young man is making terrific money for his family. And he, guess what? His entire family, he is bonded with again. They all live in Mexico, including his younger sister, who went down there to live with them. But he said, "I'm good. I'm really good." And it was because people within this district, right here within this room, made relationships with him. How many times do we have kids walk through the front door, and you know what, even adults, every one of us have a bag over our shoulder. We have things that we have to deal with every day of our lives. We come in with a smile on our face when we have things that are going wrong at home, or going wrong with a relative, or things like that. But we suck it up and we come into school, we do our job for all the other kids and family members in the community, because we're community minded. We got to get back to that, and I call upon this year to be the time that we become a strong force in the community. What we need to do is make sure that we build relationships with one another. Most of all, we need to build relationships with those young people that we see each and every day. It doesn't matter, sorry, I'm a little preachy today. My blood sugar's low. It doesn't matter what position you have within this district. It doesn't matter. Teachers, you have the front line. Aides, you have the front line right there. But everyone else sees kids walking in the hallway. Don't you dare walk by a kid and not say hi. How are you doing? If they have some funky socks on, say, "I love those funky socks. Where'd you buy them?" And you know what? If you have it, go out and buy them and wear them the next day and see what they wear and see what they say. You know, everyone in here, it doesn't matter if you're 21 or 101, you were a kid too. You were a child as well. You had teachers that met the needs of your life. I can tell you about many teachers. Sorry, I came from another network. But you know what? Those teachers I see every year throughout this community. Many of them live in Chambersburg. And you know, they mean something to you. If you can do one thing this year, rather than make sure that they know their times tables, or they can do calculus and be prepared for engineering, if you show them love, respect, honor, and make a relationship, you will have won the war. You will have won the war. You can make discipline go away with positive relationships. You ask how you do it. Well, you are intentional about it. You're intentional about teaching. You're intentional about your job. Be intentional about making relationships. You need to be open and communicate to them. And then also, there's a saying that my darling wife back in the back always says to me, a person who wants to find a friend must be friendly themselves. A person who wants to find a friend must be friendly themselves. She's probably laughing back there because I can't go to Lowe's without talking a half an hour to 45 minutes. And Polly, hold the fork down because when she raises the fork, I'm done. So make sure I'm not done yet. But I want to say this. I challenge each and every one of you to a system that is out on the internet. I want you to go out and look at it. It's called a 2x10. The 2x10 is 2 minutes for 10 days. If you meet someone, a student, try to do 2 minutes with them for 10 days. Do you know in life, research states if a minimum of 10 days to do something, you will get it to where it's repetitive. If you do 20 days, it forms a habit. Wouldn't it be really, really cool if you did a student a day for 10 days? So that means the first student would be the first 10 days, the second two would be from day 2 to 11. See what I mean? You're scaling it up. It doesn't take much time. But you know what? I really believe if you can trim, and please, you can fire me later, school board. If you can trim a math lesson by 2 minutes and make the relationships with kids, they're going to remember that math even more than what they did if you continue to add it those 2 minutes. Because it's so, so important. I want to just say this. I hope that you can trust us. We've said a lot of things today. Everyone that's been up here has said a lot of things. The first thing that we can do to build relationships is trust one another when we communicate with you. Kurt and I are putting ourselves out here. We have been members of this community for a long time. And I hope you can trust us. What we are saying is going to be the honest truth. We're not going to lie to you. We're not going to give you a different path. We're going to tell you what we need to do, and we're going to be doing it as well. You're going to be seeing us sweat. You're going to be seeing us work. We do work hard for everyone here. I will say this. Looking back at you know, what or where were we? And I just messed it up. I use his name, okay? Forgive me. But where would that young man be at if we wouldn't have fulfilled relationships with that young man? Ventures to say he would be in jail somewhere because he was at the point of stealing for food, stealing for gas, stealing for anything else. That's what he told me. I don't have any money. I need to do something. Just remember, when you have those kids going down the hallway, they're carrying bags. They're carrying a lot of bags. And you can make a total difference in their life. So I'm going to ask you to do this. If you're with me, say, I'm with you. That didn't sound too appeasing. Cheerleaders were up here, they did all kinds of stuff. Are you with me to make Chambersburg a community, especially our district? Are you with me? Okay, I'm giving it back to Kurt. He's going to finalize things, and you have a great year.
Thank you, Mark. Relationships, one of our main goals this year. Climate and culture for our students and our staff. So thank you very much. I am going to truncate the end here because I know we need to get places. I'll send out an email. I was going to talk a little bit about the State of the Union, about ELA resources coming out of the pandemic and gaps, and also how we used ESSERs. But I can do that in an email, so I will send that out. But that might be the biggest applause. So I'm going to do the ending right now, and I'm going to talk about our academic goals and focus. And earlier I alluded to you throwing 1,000 pieces of spaghetti against the wall and what sticks, and I'm going to give you basically 3 main things. The first is implementing and supporting the new ELA resources. We had about 50 some of our teachers and instructional specialists help us select the ELA resources, and I thank them. And that helps with our teacher efficacy, giving you a voice in what resources you need, and with the buy-in. And I'm proud that we had over 250 teachers come this summer to train on our new ELA resources. Next up is going to be for our math teachers, 9 to 12, new math resources, and then we're going to be looking at science and social studies. We were blessed with the ESSERS Fund, as well as our board putting aside money for resources for our teachers, and that's very important. So our math, science, and social studies teachers, you're going to be part of those decisions as well. So we are going to be throwing a lot of support to the ELA, and our expectation that the new ELA resource is used for Tier 1 instruction every day. That's our first expectation. And the next is we have for K through 3, part of that ELA challenge, we've had a lot of gaps. And our kids in 3rd grade really have not had a normal year for a few years. And the board and administration felt very important that we get books in our kids' hands for them to take home. And so there's going to be a 100-book challenge. We're not going to start that until about the end of September after getting the students' levels. But it's a great thing that we're able to get kids books that they can take home and read every night. Now, writing across all subjects, that's our other main goal and expectation. And we do have some honored presenters here that are probably getting a little bit nervous because they have to go present at CMS, and they're going to be at the other divisions as well this week. But Dr. Collins and Mr. Bill Atwood, if you would stand up, face the audience. I know they're getting some hoots and hollers because many of our staff, especially in the middle schools, have worked with them. But prior to the pandemic, the middle schools worked with Dr. Collins and Bill Atwood on writing strategies. These guys are gold. Feedback from our teachers, principals, were that this was the best PD they had ever received. It was actionable PD. We made action plans and focused on student writing. Our student growth went through the roof at both schools. Our teachers loved Dr. Collins so much, they bought him a shirt and made a Christmas card with him. So, in my 28 years in education, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that. But I was excited when I was invited to a couple of our elementary schools this past year when they started to work with Dr. Collins and to do gallery walks on Type 1 and Type 2 writing last spring. Each building principal will work on an action plan with their staff, and Dr. Collins and Mr. Atwood will be back to assist with the action plans, review progress, and make new goals with writing throughout the district. I truly believe that with their help and our teacher support and our admin support, Dr. Collins and Bill Atwood will help us close the learning gaps with all grade levels, speaking a consistent language, K through 12, with our students when it comes to writing. You'll be hearing more from your principals about writing across all subjects in the next couple days. We all had the same expectations, and we even made a consistent walkthrough form to help with feedback on Type 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 writing in our classes. I want to thank the board for voting to allow us to have them here to work with each division over the next 3 days, as well as they're going to be in each building throughout the year. Yesterday, my wife and I were invited to the Falling Spring Church by Brad Hill to be part of a service for the start of the school year. Sometimes things happen for a reason, like having breakfast with Richard Stotler yesterday. At the start of the service, he spoke about sock drawers, of all things. So think about your sock drawers. Are they organized? Is everything matched? Do you have them ordered by colors? Do you have them ordered by thickness? Or are your sock drawers just willy-nilly and there's no matches? So folks, to really get it right, you need to pull the drawer out and have a fresh start. Take up the whole floor and match them all up again. So Brad Hill related the sock drawer to a fresh start or a restart to life. But I started thinking about our school district, that sometimes we need a fresh start. After the pandemic, we have a fresh start today. You're going to have a fresh start as your buildings. These kids are yearning for a normal year and need a fresh start. So what a great analogy that made me think about this school year. Every year I speak to the kids in the middle school about a fresh start, that this is day 0. You guys are all starting with A's, just set goals and bring your work in. But our kids, and even everybody in this room, we really need a fresh start from that pandemic. So we need to be more kind to one another. We need to build relationships with our students like Dr. Long talked about, and with our colleagues. So let's make a fresh start, Trojan Nation. We need to show our Trojan pride. We need to sell our Trojan brand, and we need to sell it from pre-K through graduation. Every employee while at work and while not at work. We want Chambersburg to be the #1 choice for students, families, community, and for you. We want our folks, like I said before, to run towards our schools and not away from them. So CASD Trojan Nation, you got this. Let's make it a great year. And I know we're about 15 minutes behind, so the meetings will start about 15 minutes late today. So let's make it a great year, folks.